Hi everyone, happy Wicked Wednesday and welcome to Shivers. With November 8th, yesterday, being nationally recognized as Election Day, some of us may be feeling scared after the results, and some of us may be thrilled. Either way, elections and politics leave people of all ages feeling wary. So today we're talking about some movies that have political or controversial agendas that we can watch to help us feel a little bit better in these times. Underneath the horror film industry in general, really we see a ton of different subgenres. Those are anything from vampire movies, monster movies, slashers, things like that. But as you dive a little bit deeper, there are a lot more subgenres than just that, such as exploitative horror films. These are horror movies that are built to make a point about something in society that's either being glazed over or idealized. Really, movies to make a point about something we should talk about, whether it is political or societal stemmed. Movies like this were banned in the past, but in our generation today, we have one primary leader of this genre, and that is Jordan Peele. Jordan Peele began his horror movie involvement in 2017 with his film Get Out, which won a number of awards and has a staggering 98% on Rotten Tomatoes. Outside of Silence of the Lambs, Get Out is the only horror movie to receive such awards. Jordan Peele's movies primarily focus on issues with race and class systems, but also have twists and turns throughout that make the films enjoyable for all ages and audiences. Get Out in general is a film about a black man named Chris meeting his white girlfriend's family for the first time. The family is very welcoming, but they seem very physically uncomfortable. Needless to say, the vibes are definitely off. The girlfriend's mom is a trained therapist and hypnotist, and one night helps Chris quit smoking through the power of hypnosis. She ends up controlling Chris's mind and causes him to go to the sunken place, which is a terrifying void where Chris can see everything going on but cannot move. In the end, we find that Chris's girlfriend is basically a siren mermaid for black men. She meets them, fake dates them, and brings them back to her family, who auctions their bodies off to rich old white people who want the power and control of being strong and young and in a black person's body. The girlfriend's father performs surgery on these auction people and the purchasers, swaps their brains, and ultimately allows the soul of the black person to be stuck in the sunken place, while the white person takes control of their new black body. It's a very well done film, and obviously one of the best ever, but it leads to a lot of conversations about stereotyping, race, and class, which is the focus of today. The sunken place in this film is all about suppression, being powerless and unable to speak or be heard and be in control. Get Out in general has elements of the possession film genre in that there is an inherent fear of losing yourself to this sadistic family and cult-like group. All in all, though, Get Out allows us to talk about what we should not and what we should actually be doing. Another film by Jordan Peele that I don't think gets enough attention as it should is a film called Antebellum. Essentially, this is a movie focusing on political issues that doubles as a social experiment. The film begins with a William Faulkner quote, "The past is never dead." This is a movie meant to make a point about racism in today's society and how horribly similar it is to how racism was back in time. It also doubles as a psychological horror for people of color who feel capsized in their everyday lives. I won't get into Antebellum too much because it is so twist and turn, and as soon as you find out the true twist of the movie, then you can't watch it the same way again. So just know that Antebellum is really highly regarded by me, highly regarded by a lot of people, and certainly worth the watch for this type of genre. Another film to mention is the franchise of the Purge movies. I know I've talked about the Purge many times, but there really is no other franchise that puts a true bullet in the brain of political films, of exploitative films, and it's just a really good way to see how the direction of our society and gun laws and gun control and all of that can very well get out of hand. And it's very realistic to watch The Purge and think this could happen. So each of the Purge films centers around a holiday called the Purge that the government, or NFFA, has created to let all people release their anger by allowing all crime to be legal for 12 hours, including murder. So as you can imagine, horrible things happen, crazy things happen on Purge night, and it's just a really good franchise and film in general to watch when you're thinking about the fears of society. How bad can it get? How far can it go? And you can really purge, pun intended, your emotions through these movies, through all of the Purge movies. So it's a great watch. It's a great way to just release some of your fears and your worries around things like that as well. Another movie to mention is The Last House on the Left, the original from 1972. Taking it back to early exploitative film days, Last House on the Left was horribly criticized by people because they really only hated it because it called out the unnecessary brutality of the Vietnam War and the live stream war footage that was seen on TV at that time. The hippie flower power dream of the 70s collapsed into a drug-ridden society, and the 70s became a nightmare to live in. Last House on the Left is so effective because it looks like a bunch of hillbillies filmed a documentary, so a lot of people actually thought that this film was real upon the release. This film also really puts a pinpoint on moral questions for yourself. Lots of moral questions for your family. Makes you question your own internal beliefs. Is revenge okay if it's your child that's raped or murdered? Are you a bad person for looking for an eye for an eye? This movie brought a lot of American societal traits to the limelight in a necessary but way too confrontational way, leaving it to stain people instead of teach them. They had a warning in the beginning of the movie that says, to avoid fainting, repeat the phrase, "It's only a movie." In general, some horror movies are simply too gruesome or realistic for the everyday viewer to grasp. Last House on the Left, I Spit on Your Grave, and Maniac are the top 3 most criticized horror movies of all time, criticized for the graphic scenes, and have been banned from certain countries. But at the end of the day, these are actually women empowerment movies. They're all about bringing to limelight things that need to be talked about, issues in our society, things that people are just sweeping under the rug and believing that ignorance is bliss about. Back in the 1980s, there was this group of people and society in general that created the video nasties. The video nasties is a term associated with a period of panic and censorship in the United Kingdom during the rise of popularity of the video cassette. A list of films that were censored and banned now wear the video nasty stamp like a badge of honor. Looking back, some of it is blown out of proportion, but it's a fascinating part of film history that still has rippling effects even today. Cannibal Holocaust was one that received the Video Nasties badge. The very first Evil Dead received it as well. And so Evil Dead 2 was meant to be a comedic comeback because the first one was part of the Video Nasties. It's effective anyway because it makes audiences very uncomfortable. I'm unsure of whether to laugh or to be scared, and I'm so nervous. And that's the same way we feel in today's society. Thanks for listening to today's Wicked Wednesday. Grab your TV remote and be sure to tune into the election results and have a few of these films on standby to channel your emotions. For those of you who want to continue talking about all things spooky, you can now sign up for the Shivers meetup page and be actively part of the conversation and discussion. Next Tuesday, November 16th, we'll be having our first online meetup as a get-to-know-you night and learn more about people who both love and hate horror movies and everything in between. I hope to see you all there, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your week. Thanks, everyone.